Hello, how you doing? I trust you guys are doing great. This is Mr. Wale from D Tutors. I'm here today to discuss with you an integral aspect of use of English for JAMB UTME, especially the lexis and structure aspects. A lot of students don't do well in use of English because of their poor grammar usage. And I'm going to be discussing an integral part which has to do with Concord. In a layman term, Concord basically means agreements. That is, agreements that exist between the subject of a sentence and its verbs. The agreements that exist between the subject of a sentence and its verbs. And the basic rule of Concord states that a singular subject must be followed by a plural subject. A plural subject must be followed by what? A plural verb. And basically, in terms of the subjects, we have the nouns and the pronoun occupying the subject position in a sentence. And in the case of noun forms its verbs by, noun form its plural by adding s, es, or ies to the singular form. In the case of the verb, the reverse is the case. The singular form of verbs are formed by adding s, es, or ies to the plural form. I hope that is taken. I believe that should be sufficient as background to Concord. Now we have two possible exam questions here. We'll be solving together. The first one reads, if Remy performs poorly in her forthcoming examination, then either her mother or I dash to blame. Now, we want to fill a gap. This is the gap we want to fill. And this, what is meant to be here is a verb. And the verb must agree with a subject. Now, we need to get the real subject of the sentence for us to know the verb to be supplied to it. Now, when you look at the sentence, if Remy performed poorly in her forthcoming examination, you will see that if Remy performed poorly in her forthcoming examination is a subordinate clause. And this subordinate clause has its subject, it has its verb already in her forthcoming examination. Then, either her mother or I dash to blame. That is meant to be the main clause. That is the independent clause in the sentence. So the subjects of this particular verb, the subject are connected by correlative conjunction. Correlative conjunction, we have example either or, neither, nor. In the case of this, we have either or. And this particular connection conjunction is only applicable to correlate proximity concord. Proximity concord is the concord of nearness. That is the subject that is nearest to the verb that will determine the verb to be used. For instance, the subject that comes after or the subject that comes after what? No. That will determine the verb to be used. Anytime we have either or neither nor used as the subject or used in connecting the subjects of the sentence. In this case, we have either a mother or I. So, looking at this, the closest subject to the verb is I because it's coming after or. So, it will be the one to determine the verb to be used. And grammatically, let's look at the option to know the one that goes with what? With I. In English, let's just look at it. Either a mother or I must to blame. It doesn't make any sense grammatically. I as is ungrammatical. I does not go with has. I goes with what? With have. Or I will be blamed. You can say I will be blamed or I are to blame. But am goes with what? I. So looking at the option, the right option here is what? Is am. And as we can see, when we put am here, it will be able to agree with the subject of the what? Of the sentence. That is, if Remy performs poorly in a forthcoming examination, then either her mother or I am to blame. What is controlling the verb is I, because he is the closest subject to the verb. So whatever comes before or will be irrelevant in controlling the verb, because we are dealing with what? Proximity concord. That is the concord of what? Of nearness. I hope that is understood. We use am because the agreement exists between the subject of the sentence I and what? Am. We can use am with I. We can use has with I. We can use must, even will be. Instead, we can use what? Am with the subject of the sentence. This is the real subject of the sentence, which is what? I. I hope that is understood. Now, this is what? Proximity concord. Proximity concord. Proximity concord means concord of what? Nearness. Proximity concord. I hope that is clear. Now, the second question we are to attempt in today's class is, one of the ladies who dashed in the premise dash been asked to withdraw. Now, the question we're going to ask is that the gap to be filled, what is applicable to it? So we have this gap coming after that, this relative pronoun, who. And this has to do with what? Relative concord. Relative concord is a concord that borders on relative pronoun. Example of relative pronoun, we have who, we have which, we have whose, we have what? We have that, among others. And what does the rule of concord state as regards relative pronoun? Anytime relative pronoun is used in a sentence and it is used immediately after a noun or a pronoun, the verb to be used after that relative pronoun will be determined by the noun or pronoun that comes before that relative pronoun, because it's relating whatever comes before it to what is coming after it. We use relative pronoun to start relative clauses in most cases. Now, in this case, one of the ladies who dashed. Now, the verb to be used here will be determined by the ladies, because this who is relating the lady to whatever that is coming what? That is coming here. The question we then ask ourselves is that the ladies, is it singular or plural? So looking at it with IES, is a plural noun. The verb to be supplied here should also be plural. Anytime we use relative concord, the noun or pronoun coming before it will be the one to determine the verb coming after it. That is simple and straightforward. I hope that is clear. So if the noun is ladies, the verb to be used should be plural. Now, looking at the option, we have option A. It has cells. Cells is singular. That cannot be the answer. We have option B, cell. That could be the answer. We have option C, cells. That cannot be the answer. We have option D, cell. That could be the answer. But let's look at the second part. What is going to determine the verb to be used for the second part to be filled? Now, one of the ladies who cell in the premise dash being asked to withdraw. That is, we have the second verb here, will be determined by the number at the beginning of the sentence. If we were to do a detachment of this sentence, we're going to have something like, oh, one of the ladies dash be asked to withdraw. That is, one out of several ladies dash be asked to withdraw. So since what we have here is one and it is meant to be treated as singular, so the verb to be used here is going to be singular. You know, we said option B, option D can either be the what? The right answer. Now, since we are meant to use singular here, so we cannot use have here, definitely this cannot be the answer. The answer is going to be what? D, which is what? Which has what? Has. I hope that is understood.